The Top Floor Please podcast, where women in leadership rise together. I'm your host, Melissa McCormick, executive coach and founder of the Grace and Salt Leadership Academy. This is your space to find clarity, grow in confidence, and lead with bold authenticity. Whether you're navigating the boardroom, building your team, or stepping into new territory, you're not alone. Let's talk real challenges, real growth, and real leadership because the top floor isn't just a place, it's a mindset. Alrighty then, let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Top Floor podcast. I'm your host, Melissa McCormick, and today we're going to talk about something a bit personal. Like I've been on this kick. If you've been listening to me the last couple podcasts, I'm kind of going a little bit more personal than what I typically do. Like typically, it's about it's about leadership and it's about business, and I don't. Sometimes I connect the two, but sometimes I don't, right? And so now I'm connecting the two. So, and I don't know if this is a trend, if this is going to be the way it goes from here on out. I'm not sure. But there's been a lot of things that have been going on in my world that I feel make really good podcasts. And so today is no different. Today is absolutely no different. And so today we're going to talk about relationships. Okay. So, which is all about leadership, right? Leadership is all about building stronger relationships. It doesn't mean that you are, when we talk about my book, Grace and Salt, when we talk about my book, Grace and Salt, many people will say, oh, okay, so you kind of don't, it's more of a gentle leadership. Like your communication style is more feminine and more, you don't necessarily give people the honest to goodness truth. And that is not what Grace and Salt means at all. If you know anything about me and my programs, it doesn't mean that you give people a pass and that you're graceful all the time and you give everybody grace. It just means that whatever your message is, the truth, that message, that's the salt part of the equation. You're going to wrap that in grace based on the other person. You're still going to tell them exactly what you need to tell them. It's just about a different approach so that they hear you and they are more willing to listen because you've adjusted your approach to their communication style and what they're going through in their world that particular time. And so with building those relationships, sometimes it can be really, really hard. And I've found that the older I get, I don't know for you folks out there that are, you know, honing in or closing in on retirement age, I don't know if you've noticed this, but for me personally, it's been a bit challenging to maintain friendships. And I look at my really close friendships that I've had since high school, and we've somewhat drifted apart. And I don't know if that's me. I know that it's harder to keep those relationships. And those that are still super close to me, I have to be very intentional with reaching out to be sure that I'm connecting. Otherwise, you drift apart and you're busy. Life is busy, right? We have grandchildren now. We have adult children. So we're managing and navigating all of that. And we're empty nesters. So we're trying to travel a little bit more. Mike just retired a year ago. So there's navigating that whole dynamic. I'm running a business. I want to travel, all of that, and maintaining strong relationships in the workplace, professionally and personally, is tough and it's lonely. And so today I just really wanted to talk about relationships in general. That's friendships, and then I call them family ships and all the ships, right? I just all of the ships that carry us through life, because sometimes can feel like they're really drifting further apart. And in this time, it's Thanksgiving season. It's as this podcast, I'm recording it in November, but it's going to drop in December. Therefore, I've got my red scarf on. But it's holiday season, and so I'm always thinking about family and relationships at this time of year. When honestly, I should probably think about it every time of year, right? But relationships are hard. And as I mentioned, they take intentionality, they take humility, they take vulnerability. And a lot of grace, absolutely. And so um, sometimes, even when we're trying relationships that we care about, shift, right? We can love deeply, but we can't always control how close we are to somebody. And yeah, so anyway, so that's what I wanted to really talk about today and tie that into that relationship, that family ship um piece of it that Mike and I are empty nesters. We have two adult children. They have families of their own, and trying to navigate that whole thing, like when am I mom and when am I not? When do they want my advice and when do they not? So Amanda has our grandson, as of this recording, is he'll be 2 in January, so he's 23 months or 20, probably 22 months right now. In fact, yesterday he was 22 months. And through that last 22 months, giving her my advice on how we raised our children in teething times or sleeping through the night. Do you let them cry? Do you not let them cry? All of that, navigating that advice, whether she wants it or not, and positioning it more with grace as advice rather than a mom, that's been challenging. Or my son and my daughter-in-law, and trying to be sure that we're connecting with them. They live out of town, so that's been a challenge, trying to figure navigating all of that. So that's just what's been on my heart this time. And when we equate that into leadership, that's when, you really think about it. And leading can be really lonely. They say it's lonely at the top. They're totally right. It is lonely at the top. And because of that, I have a job as an executive coach. So those folks that are at the top that can't share with their staff, they share with me. And so that is important as well. But anyway, I just wanted to share with you 3 leadership lessons today that you can apply to friendships and family ships. And one is to respect boundaries, respect your boundaries and their boundaries. It doesn't mean, love doesn't mean that you have to be involved all the time. Sometimes leadership is knowing when to step back and to trust others to walk their path, right? Grace allows space, salt keeps clarity. So that's the whole idea of that grace and salt, right? So we we need to recognize where's my lane? When am I staying in it? And when is it okay to change lanes and go out of it and go into their lane respectfully. And sometimes that means you have to wait for them to ask, or if you offer and they say, no, 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 I got it, then you let them, right? Then you let them. So the first one is respecting boundaries. The second one is reach out intentionally. Relationships don't grow by accident. Oh my goodness, is that so true? You must be intentional and proactive. So if you've got somebody on your mind, like right this second, that you can think of that you're like, oh, I really should reach out to that person, do it. Like, stop this podcast. Don't even finish listening to it. Just stop it and call them right now. And if you're not comfortable calling them, then text them right now. If you're not comfortable texting, then email them right now. Write them a letter. Do something. Contact them. Relationships, you know that what's the worst thing that can happen? They either don't respond to you, which they're not going to do that, right? Unless it's, a contentious relationship and you're trying to mend it. I don't know. But I do want you to reach out intentionally, and it takes you. And so I've had this discussion many times in my lifetime, as far as so when you've got 2 people in a relationship and one person is the one that's always reaching out and scheduling things, hey, let's go to lunch, hey, let's go to dinner, hey, let's do this, hey, let's do that. And the other person is not reaching back out and saying and being intentional themselves, sometimes it can be it can be a little frustrating. You're like, why am I always the one that has to reach out to the other person? Like when I do reach out, yeah, we go and we have a good time. Maybe we stop for drinks or we go for a walk or whatever it might be. But why is it always me? Why do I always have to do this? And sometimes we get into that trap. I want you to stop it. Like if your mind goes there, like, you know what? I'm not doing that this time. I'm not doing that this time. I'm tired of it. No, 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 no. You still need to do it. If that is a relationship that you love and that you really want to continue. Like sometimes you drift away and it's supposed to be that way. But if this is not one of those times, like this is a person that you really need to continue to nurture that relationship regardless of how long you have known each other, then you do it. You suck it up and you do it. Because we're different people, right? That other person may just not, it might not come naturally to them. They may not even think about it. And to you, it's important and you do it. It doesn't mean it's not important to them too. They're just uncomfortable with it. So you're going to be on your toes instead of on your heels. Make sense? Okay. And the last one is to reflect before reacting. So when you're hurt or distant, take a breath and ask yourself this question. Is this about them or is this about me? Right? Reflection creates perspective. Reaction creates regret. So reflect before reacting. Now that's if you've got a situation or a relationship that is kind of gone south, right? It's gone a little sour. So those are just three really quick leadership lessons that in this and it's so funny because when we talk about leadership, typically you think I'm talking about the workplace. And typically I am but not always. Like leadership, we lead in our families, we lead in our friendships, we lead in our all relationships of life. We lead in life, whether we're volunteering, whether we get paid for what we do, doesn't matter. And so these are just three leadership lessons that you can take and incorporate into the way that you are building stronger relationships with your friendships and your family ships. All right, your grace and salt coaching moment for today. Grace says, I can love and let go. And salt says, but I'll keep showing up anyway. Relationships change, but your consistency doesn't have to. Sometimes leadership is just the courage to keep showing up with love, even when the connection feels hard. And, we talked about that earlier. So here's your action. Your action step is to reach out to one person. So as I was talking about this today, who is that one person that you need to connect with? No agenda, no expectation, just connection. Short message can reopen doors that distance tried to close. Oh, and I need to take my own advice here too. So I am going to do that. The minute that I hit stop record, I am going to reach out to a very dear friend of mine. All right. So thank you so much for hanging out on the top floor. If today's episode gave you something to think about, share it with someone that you care about. And please do be sure to follow me on Spotify or YouTube, subscribe wherever you're watching this podcast. And then that helps the algorithm, that helps it so that I can reach more people and make more of an impact. That's the whole idea behind this podcast. And if you're ready to rise, you want to find your voice, you're interested in maybe you're lonely at the top and you want to look at my executive coaching services, absolutely reach out to me. Or maybe you want to get to the executive level and you just need to gain some confidence and find your voice. The Esther Project is probably perfect for you. And so you can go to graceandsaltleadership.com and you can find out all my services and how I'm helping ladies and executives, men and women, just like you. All right. So remember, you don't have to lead like everyone else. Just lead like you. All right. I will see you next time. Thanks so much and take care. Thanks so much for hanging out on the top floor. If today's episode gave you something to think about or a little boost, share it with your friends to keep the momentum going. And hey, if you're ready to rise, find your voice, and lead with clarity and confidence, we'd love to connect with you. Reach out at graceandsaltleadership.com to learn how Grace and Salt can support your growth. Remember, you don't have to lead like everyone else. Just lead like you. All right, I'll see you next time on the top floor.